I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with the cattle market summary for the week ending August the 11th, where we came into this week really blindsided with pressure coming out of left field. Weren't prepared for it, assuming that we were going to come in here with a lot of leverage to hold the fat cattle market together. We were still selling big yearling feeders really well and higher than really what they ought to be. And selling calves, starting to sell calves. The early sales of the fall calves were going right along. We come out of some big video sales that had done really well, but then we come into this week and just a lot of pressure. After all spring and summer, the market just kept staving off all this pressure, and it seems like everything in the world come through to try to kill the cattle market, but nothing was really getting it done. We had some drought conditions up in parts of the western corn belt there, and then everybody thought that your feed was going to get high, and really it's not going to happen, but that could have killed the market. We talked about all these big cattle coming to market and heavier weights, and starting to get into the first sign of the heavier numbers since we replenished our herds, and that hadn't killed the market. We had a BSE scare, that didn't kill the market, and then all of a sudden somebody somewhere said that we've got another wall of cattle coming in October, and everybody started believing it. And I mean, it's just like a bank scare. Just started rolling down and rolling down, and I don't know why everybody's getting excited about that. It seems like when we get through these heavier numbers of market ready cattle and these heavier carcass here over the next month or so, that we should be getting back into a lull where we should be able to have a pretty good grip on staying ahead of the game, like we've been staying ahead of the game all summer. But I don't know, it seems like the cattle that they fear are gonna hit in October, those were the weights of cattle that everybody was buying to turn out on grass. And I'm thinking that most of those cattle went out on grass. We had, it's dry now in a lot of places, but we had really good pasture conditions starting out in the spring, and a lot of people bought and filled those pastures up, and I'm not sure where all those numbers of cattle are going to come from. I know we had big June placements, but the surprise in the June placements was the lighter weights. A lot of those coming out of some of those dry areas too, up there in the Dakotas and places, but I guess we'll see. But it just really hit the market hard. You look at your board, live cattle futures, the October contract, Monday opened the week almost down the limit, down 297, just out of nowhere. Tuesday was down 52 cents, Wednesday down 255, Thursday down $1.45, and there's enough people taking profits on Friday there to bring the market up 80 cents to end the week with October at 107.40, down $6.70 for the week. Now you look at your August spot live cattle contracts at 109.72, and I've been talking about that $1.10's kind of been the net that we've been working with on this high wire act for quite some time now. If we fall below that $1.10, I'm not sure where the next stopping place is going to be, but we sure need to try to keep our cash market. Now the board's going to dip down there at times, but hopefully we can keep the cash market on the spot market over $1.10. And then you look, and we talked about October, all the losses it had down ending the week at 107.40. December's back up to 109.32. Of course, then it drops off again starting into next year, because we got to have a lot of calves hitting the market this fall, and they'll be coming out of the feedlot early next year. So we've got some things to get through, but not really sure what the warrant is on this little wreck we're going through right now. Your feeder cattle August contracts, Monday down 370 to open the week up. Tuesday down 22. Wednesday down the limit, down $4.50, just all kinds of pressure. Thursday down 35 cents. Friday again profit taken on the people that were short, back up 60 cents with your August feeder cattle contracts ending the week at 141.77, down $8.18. Now we did have a decent fat cattle trade as far as volume this week. Ended up just through Thursday with 109,800 head, and probably a few more cleanup sales Friday we won't find out about until Monday. but a decent marketing week, better than what we had last week for sure. But the market was lower, not just a complete washout, but sure lower, and that's bad because it looked like the way they were buying cattle at the end of the previous week, coming in Friday, paying the highest prices we'd seen at 118. We thought maybe they'd be a little more aggressive this week, and they were pretty aggressive. It's just that packers were able to buy the cattle cheaper because of what was going on with the board and all the fears going on. But live steers had a weighted average through Thursday at 115.17. That's roughly $2 lower than the weighted average for the previous week. And your dress steers average price at $183.89, roughly down $3.50. Box beef cutout values, we've been talking the last few weeks that we'd found some bottom side support for this dressed beef market, and I still believe that we have, but everything's just so negative right now, and you've got a lot of pressure on the market. Did fall again some this week, but not the $7-8 losses we were seeing as things were correcting in the seasonal correction there. But you look at choice cutouts at 201.37 on the average trade of the week. That was down $3.63 from the average of last week. And select cutouts 196.56, down just 117 from the average of the previous week's trade. And now we've got that choice select spread. You remember, it hasn't been very many weeks ago, it was up around $30. Now it's at $4.81, which is a lot more narrow than what it normally is. But you know, there's places that need select meat too. Most of your supermarkets still sell it. But your slaughter was very aggressive. Excellent slaughter, and then that has not been our problem. Beef demand and the slaughter rates have not been our problem at all getting through these markets here. We saw for the week 641,000, which is a big slaughter, and that's 7,000 more than a pretty darn good week the week before, and 62,000 head more than the same week a year ago. We talked about earlier this week your actual dressed steers for the week ending July the 29th ended at 875 pounds for the average of your dressed steer weight, and that was up 7 pounds from the previous report, and a little bigger than kind of what people thought. We knew we were still getting into heavier carcasses, but that's a pretty big jump from just 1 week, and we are working through some big cattle, but that's 2 weeks behind on that actual data. So we've been working through them here the last couple of weeks too. But you look at your feeder cattle market for the week, cash feeders, your trends $5 to $10 lower on yearling feeder cattle, and that's a big hit. They've been selling so good all along, and of course propped up by your farmer feeders in the northern plains. They really haven't made any money other than cattle for the last 2 or 3 years, and so they're just getting right in there and buying cattle that don't pencil out, figuring that they'll bet on the come because they know that they're not going to get rich on their crops this year, and they probably got, most of them have full bins at home and need to get rid of some of that corn before harvest, and get their cattle secured before they get busy with harvest, because other than just feeding them, they don't need to be spending a lot of time messing with cattle whenever they're busy doing their farming. But your real-time index on Beef Market Central based on 800-pound steer ended the week at 143.45, down $5.20 for the week, and that goes right in with what your cash trends were. You look how the week started off. Western Video Market had a big sale in Cheyenne, Wyoming on Monday and Tuesday. You could have viewed and bid right here on DV Auction on that sale. Had a lot of impressive sales there. Even though we had pressure coming in early Monday, we didn't realize it was going to be so bad, and it really didn't get bad till Wednesday. So your early week sales have yet to experience the losses that your midweek sales did. But you look on Monday there on Western Video Market, the Low Cattle Company in Ashby, Nebraska had 375 head of 965-pound steers for late September delivery. Now, no bells and whistles to really speak of. They were home raised, and I love it whenever they say their feeding program is native grass, salt, and mineral. And that's the way you're supposed to background those cattle. But 965-pound steers September delivery, 150, 150. I'm not sure you could get too close to that now after this week's occurrences went on, but they had a lighter end of them, 175, had 875 pounders. Same cattle bring 155.50. Now you look this week in some of your auctions, like I said, Wednesday was really tough. So we're coming in here on these Monday sales. They haven't experienced any of that loss. I hope that this week doesn't come in on a downer because of the sharply lower trends that we're probably going to experience in our big Monday volume sales. They could sure be $5 to $10 lower, just like our week sales last week, but they didn't get that hit yet. And a lot of times that'll start another week off and it'll just start snowballing because everybody thinks the market's that much lower. But it's just whatever those cattle brought compared to what they brought the week before in the same sale. It's not compared to last week's market per se on what cattle were bringing all through the week. But you look at a market there late in the week. Burwell Livestock Market in Burwell, Nebraska had their big 4th of July customer appreciation sale. Ended up with 4,600 head there. You could watch that there on DV Auction also, and had some really crazy prices, really, especially for the way the market was middle of the week. Cattle selling just as good as they have been all summer, and we thought that coming out of the sand hills, and you got that farmer feeder demand there, and that's the most cattle are going to bring. The type of cattle they have in that part of the country, the conditions in that part of the country, the demand they have there. You look at a ring full of Charolais cross steers there at 1:30 in the afternoon on Beef Market Central Automated Report. Had a ring full there, 800 pounds, bring 155.75. That wouldn't have been a big deal a few weeks ago or maybe even last week, but it was a big deal late this week. Also on there at Burwell, had 3 loads of heifers weigh 857 at 145.85. That's your week's markets from a home DV auction office here in Canyon, Texas. We'll talk to you next week.